Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are having a great week and that the week is going well for you and it's halfway over. So there you go. That is always fun and exciting. I'm here today because it is time to do the 5th book in the debut novels you may have missed book club. Which is super exciting. I feel like this book club has, 1, flown by, 2, I don't think we've read a bad book in this entire series. And it's almost the end of the year, so we have 1 more book done. So if you are new to my channel and you haven't participated in my book club before, the first 10 minutes or so will be spoiler-free, or as spoiler-free as I am able. Sometimes I get a little excited. And then I will count you out, remind you of what the December book club book is going to be. And then I will go into spoilers for about 10 minutes or so. So there you go. So what was our book club book? It was allegedly, let me hold that up for you guys. And this is by Tiffany D. Jackson, and this is classified as a YA novel. I have to say, this is YA with a big asterisk for me because, 1, I thought it was fantastic. I thought this is a very good book. It's a very compelling read. It's well written, all sorts of great stuff, but its subject matter, it's a little bit rough and at times a little bit graphic. So I would not give this to your young, sort of inexperienced YA reader. To your more mature YA readers, I think it will be fine. To those that are more on the Order of the Phoenix side of Harry Potter versus the first book, The Sorcerer's Stone. So there you go. There's my caveat. This is the story of Mary Addison. Mary is a young teen when the book starts, but she has been in prison for many years for being convicted of killing a 3-month-old baby. We learn very early that for a long period of time, she was basically in what she calls baby jail, where she is in a solitary confinement because they don't really have anywhere to put her, because when she supposedly commits the crime, I believe she is 9 years old. And then when we meet her, she's a teenager and she's been moved into a group home. And she lives with a bunch of other young girls who are all in the system as well. And they have 2 caretakers that run the house. She has a child services person who is supposed to be taking care of her. She has a parole officer also that is involved in her life. Sort of the big ticket items to know. From the very start, whether or not Mary has committed the crime of killing this 3-month-old child is in the air. There are, at the very beginning, there's sort of these hints on whether or not she really did it. What was her role in the incident? One thing that the book does very well is Mary clearly loved this little girl and was very attached to her. So there is definitely this idea that she is very sad about what happened, and whether or not she can remember everything that did occur, or what her role was, that does not take away from the fact that she clearly had a relationship with this young girl. The other sort of major characters that I think are really important in this book are Mary's mother, who is you can tell from their first interaction there is something slightly off about her. Turns out we learn that she is on some sort of medication. She has some sort of mental disability is what I'm going to call it. I'm not sure exactly how to phrase it, but she is on medication and she has what Mary calls our days, where she goes through sort of these episodes. Who else is also important? There's an entire house full of young girls, teenagers mainly, who have committed crimes. We learn different things about them. And they are always picking on Mary. And they do some... they just really go after her over and over and over again. That is one of the themes of this book, is going after. What we also know is we learn that Mary is working and volunteering as part of her parole process at an old folks home where she has met a boy who she is more or less dating, who she is trying to keep who she is away from him. He is also in the system, living in a different home, and the sort of the truthful nature of their relationship is called into question. This book is really about two things. One, very early on, we find out Mary is pregnant, and whether or not she can keep her baby and what she is willing to do to be able to keep her baby. Mary is very bright. She is very smart. She's well-read. She's articulate. She's clearly got some brain power behind her, and there's a bunch of different themes about that. Also, she is a very unreliable narrator. She uses the word allegedly a lot. Very clever, Tiffany D. Jackson, where you think you're getting some information, and then all of a sudden they throw in this word allegedly, and you're like, huh, what should I take out from that? Which pieces are actually truth? And as the book goes along, Mary is trying to basically overturn her conviction because she wants to keep her baby. She also wants to take the SATs, which is something that goes on in the book. She has the relationships with the people in her home, relationship with her mother, and also relationships with her guidance. I keep saying child services person. I want to say guidance counselor. That's totally wrong. And her parole officer. He's actually a very interesting character. He has sort of this standoffish nature with Mary, but then as the novel goes on, their relationship sort of changes a little bit. And yeah, I don't want to go into that because I think that is a spoiler aspect of it. But here's what you need to know. One, if you like a book that is a mystery from page 1 to the very last page, this book is for you. Tiffany Jackson will keep you on your toes. 2, the plotting is tight. I personally never thought that the book was at all slow. I was really bought in this entire book. I really liked it. The writing is strong, solid. The dialogue is well spoken. Now, Mary as a character doesn't speak a whole lot in the first part of the book because that's sort of been who she is. She's young when she's put in solitary confinement. She keeps to herself. She has been told to sort of present herself in a certain way, and her sort of mutism is a way of not saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. But the relationships are very well outlined. You never sort of doubt any of the aspects of the overall story. But it's rough. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. At the center of the book is the death of a 3-month-old baby, and it was not a PG death. It was definitely a tragic death. We have girls who have been raped. We have girls who talk about things that they've done outside to get convicted and put into the house. We learn a lot about Mary's mother's boyfriend who did sexual things to Mary, and it's very dark. So this book, again, I go back to, this has definitely got some strong thematic elements, and it's going to have trigger warnings for some people. But if you are really looking for something that's well written and just well done, this is it. The last thing I'm going to say before I count you out for spoilers and remind you of the book is, there is a character in this book, a young girl that enters the house late, called the New Girl, who may be one of the creepiest, scariest written children that I have ever read or seen in a movie. Because one, the sense of reality around who she is terrifying. The things that she does or did, horrifying. I was, is that enough? It was just too much. But I highly recommend this book. I don't think it will be for everyone because of the trigger issues, but I think if you can get past those things and you can just sort of delve into the mystery of this, who Mary is, everything about her, I really think you'll enjoy this young adult novel. I really did. So let me take a break. Remind you, if you're going to be part of December and the last book for the debut novels you may have missed book club, we are going to be reading, we're doing some science fiction, Sleeping Giants, book 1 of the Themis Files by Sylvain Neuvel. This book is the first in a 3-part series. All 3 parts are out, so if you wind up loving this in the book club, you'll be very easy to get the rest of them for yourself. We will be discussing this book at the end of December, so please, if you want to join. Yeah, no, I'm super excited about this. My friend Ryan at the Charming Rant, and I wonder, I cannot remember the name of his Instagram. I really should. It's fantastic, but he loved this series and his partner loved this series, so I'm super excited to get to this. So again, our next book is Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel, and it is out from Del Rey Books. You can get it, and I think you can get it at your library too. I think it should be readily available. So I'm going to go back to Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. If you guys haven't read the book, I'm about to do spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Okay, you guys, where do we start with the spoilers? Let's talk about the relationship between Mary and her mother. Now, as you guys know, we learn, or do we learn, that Mary's mom something happens, right? Something happens with the baby, and because of the unreliable narrator, it is unclear of whether or not the mother did something to this young girl, or if Mary did something that the mother was really trying to fix, which is fascinating. But she is so unstable. The mother is unstable, so you don't know if Mary's ideas about whether or not her mother was the actual killer, or whether or not she is the killer. It's sort of left there in this randomly vague space that is, I thought, just fascinating. It's one of those situations. Did you guys listen to Serial, the podcast, at the end, where you can have a long conversation on whether or not the gentleman that's at the center of that actually committed the murder that is the story? I think at the end of this, everyone's going to leave slightly different. Some of us are going to believe Mary. Some of us are going to believe that the mother did it. Some of us are going to believe it may have been a mixture of both. Perfectly fine. I do think some of the interesting stuff that makes Mary who she is as a person, I thought that the relationship with her mother's boyfriend, Ray, was really, really interesting. Mary did not have a good upbringing, and to find out later that she was found by her mother and that her birth certificate. Now, was that even true? I don't know if that was even true, but this idea that Mary is searching for a place in the world and all of the indications are that she really doesn't have a place. I think sort of the psychological aspect of her thinking her father is one day going to come and get her. Brilliant. And I think that the fact that we are sort of led to believe that she was either given up by her parents and or her father died and or her father never wanted to be in her existence is sort of plays into who Mary is as a person. What do we think about the relationship? I will say the one issue that I had with this book, and this is really the only issue, is the boyfriend. Now, the boyfriend he was arrested for being basically an accessory to rape, right? He was holding the girl down. He didn't rape her, but I don't think that what he did was forgivable. And I do think that Mary, maybe because of her background, glosses over what he does a little bit too casually. But I wonder, I'm not part of that world. I'm not part of that experience. And I don't know if people in that world take sort of all of that differently than I would as sort of this outsider looking in. I did also think he was fascinating because we never knew whether or not he was a reliable partner to Mary. And when they get back together, you don't know if he's actually truthful. So nothing in this book, not one single aspect is ever nailed down other than a 3-month-old baby died. Everyone is playing everyone in some way or manner, which I just thought was brilliant. Let's talk a little bit about the house. Let's talk about the new girl. Did she not freak you out? She freaked me out. And when her mother died and her sort of exaltation of the idea that she got rid of her. And the thing is, she hated her mother for being a mother. Never did she say that her mother did anything that was worth dying over, which that little girl she was insane. And she was horrifying. And when she pushed Mary down the stairs, I literally went, I could not handle it. It was so well done and unforgivable. And then when everything sort of comes around and you find out, now, I thought the Kelly, was that her name, Kelly? The girl who is basically attacking and bullying, and then Mary throws the water in her face. One, it was funny to me because once that happened, I was already forgiving Mary for her act, no matter how horrible it was, because of the bullying that she had gone through. But because of, at the end of the book, when I reflected back, you never know how truthful Mary's being throughout the book, that you're kind of like, did anyone deserve anything? The only truly horrendous character that you sort of get, I think, a full view of is the new girl. And she's insane. I think she had some sort of like reverse. What is the reverse of the Oedipus complex? I can't remember the word. You probably know. But sort of this love for her father that was beyond natural. And yeah, no, all of that, totally crazy. I definitely thought that this book has an interesting take and a very clear discussion regarding the system that Mary is in. This house is clearly horrible and no one seems to care. The social worker, the parole officer, they've already forgiven sort of this horrible situation that she's living in. And I don't think that's probably very far from the truth. I think there's a lot of young people that are in the system, that are in houses that are just as despicably run as the house Mary is in. And I think that sort of that truthness factor of it adds a certain validity to the overall story. I really liked it. I still, at the end of the book, I'm not sure if I believe Mary. I know that believe that Mary didn't do it. I don't know if I believe that Mary did do it. And I like that ambiguity. I love being on my toes. I really think that Tiffany D. Jackson wrote a terrific thriller of a book. I was really into it the whole entire time. Yeah, this book is really, really good. I'm really glad we read it for the book club. I hope you guys are too. So tell me everything you want to talk about. Let's talk about it in the notes down below. What did you guys think? Did Mary do it? Did Mary not do it? Was she just sort of an accessory, or was she the main person and her mother was an accessory? Who wasn't Mary playing in this book? Yeah, so I'd love to talk about this book. There's so much to talk about. So, as always, I want to remind you that our 6th and final book of the debut novels You May Have Missed book club, Sleeping Giants, we'll be discussing it at the end of December. I hope you guys are as excited to read it as I am. And as always, if you're a return subscriber, thank you so much. And if you're a return book clubber, thank you so much. Someone wrote a note on one of my other videos, and I apologize. I want to say Mary Beth, but I'm not sure that's the name. It's not there in my head, but said that she loves watching the book club videos. I hope you guys do. I really enjoy doing them. If you are new to my channel and this is your first one, I hope you join the book club. Read some of the other books and then come watch the videos. There's lots to discuss. And as always, until next time, I wish you happy reading, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!